there, one of the managers.
Cool. So, okay, we are live right now with Sarah Ashley. So you're the manager of VIP Media, right? Where you help a lot of like entrepreneurs kind of promote themselves, right? There's so many entrepreneurs nowadays, and I think it's so important for them to build their personal brand. There's so many entrepreneurs, and I'm not going to say it's saturated because I mean you can't have a saturated market of entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
But the attention is really, really important, and that's why I can see everyone wants to be that next Gary Vee, that next huge entrepreneur across different social media platforms. And like you mentioned before, having that PR, personal branding aspect of it is super, super important to not only work on your business, but to kind of develop some new networks.
For sure. No, for sure. And I think another thing that's really important for people that are starting their brand, and I think one thing that we noticed as at a PR firm is that, you know, with COVID and people losing their jobs or people just having more free time, you know, people started to really learn more about entrepreneurship and, you know, how can I leave my 9 to 5 and do something where I can work from home and then have, you know, the time freedom, the location freedom, and just, you know, financial freedom, which is huge. And so with that influx of more coaches and more entrepreneurs and stuff, you know, you have to find a way to set yourself apart from all these other people. And I think, you know, defining your brand is really important. That's the key point to becoming a successful entrepreneur, or, you know, successful in e-commerce or coaching or any of those fields. You really have to set yourself apart and define your brand. I think that's, you know, one of the most important.
So what's your origin story in like entrepreneurship and branding marketing?
So mine is so like everywhere. I'm so sorry. So me doing PR and branding was never in my line of sight at all. This is actually sort of new for me, but I love it, and I feel like I'm naturally kind of good at it. Like I love talking to people and just helping people. But I actually went to college, and my degree is legal studies, and I worked at 2 different law firms for 4 years. I was a paralegal during those times, and yeah, I was gonna go to law school. I was accepted to one, and I don't know, you know, I kind of like took a step back, and I was like, I think actually like my overall message is that, you know, you really need to, like, how do I say it? Like, you need to find what you like and go for it. Like, don't let other people around you influence what you decide for your future. And I kind of like a big part of my story is that, you know, my whole life, like people are always like, oh, you'd be like a great lawyer or you'd be a great doctor. And I heard that, and I thought that would be great. You know, those careers are great. And, you know, I tried it out. I tried law out, but I was like, no, I like it, but I don't think I love it. And I don't think I want to do this forever. You know, I felt like I've always been kind of creative, and again, I like to, you know, talk to people and help people and all this stuff. And, you know, you do that with law. Of course, you talk to people and you help people, but I just felt like I couldn't really be creative. I couldn't really, you know, change things too much. And I feel like now with PR, it's like I get to be creative. I get to have my voice heard, and I get to help people, you know, take their brands to the next level and help give them ideas on how they can elevate their brand, whether it's getting them on TV or getting them on podcasts or, you know, or big top publications like Forbes or something, right? It's huge. And so being able to do that is just, it means so much to me. And that's something I never really thought I'd be able to have like creative outlet to do. So I think that's like a big part of like my story with that, how I got into this whole PR space. Is I, you know, didn't really plan on it. It kind of just happened.
Yeah. So during your time of like studying, you feel that your creativity was sort of somewhat diminished. You didn't have that sort of play to, you know, use your creativity for something.
Exactly. I kind of like forgot about it. I forgot that I could be creative, you know, and it was never like art. Like I cannot draw to save my life at all. But I mean, like, I feel like I've always been someone that has like good ideas for stuff, and like like a group project, right? I always want to be the one like takes charge of the group project and say, hey, I have this idea, and like let's go with this idea, right? But you know, with what I was doing, I couldn't really do that. But with what I'm doing now, it's like, yeah, I have this whole space where I can come up with cool ideas, and if people like it, let's do it. If they don't, that's great. We'll find something else and we'll keep moving forward. And I think you know, that I feel like I learned that I'm good at, and now I get to use that with what I do every day, and I absolutely love it.
I mean, that's a big decision that you made. So you took 4 or 5 years to eventually get accepted to law school, right? But you didn't take that route. So what was your next step? Did you take a job at a media company, or did you do something on your own?
So yeah, Jose, my boss, I've actually known him for about almost 7 years now.
Oh, wow.
So when he was working for Barack Obama, so actually, backstory, you know, when I was doing the whole law path, the reason why I was doing it is because eventually my goal was to do politics. I always said but like his politics and law is a really good way to segue into that. And when I met Jose and I saw what he was doing, getting able to work at the White House and stuff, I really looked up to that. And so we had talked about, working together in the past, but then, I took a step back from law, and then he started focusing on his PR company. And, he'd reach out to me. He's like, "Hey, Sarah, I have a job for you." He's like, "You have to let me know today, but it's yours if you want it." And, I got that text and I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, what do I do?" Like, this whole time I've been trying to do law, but I don't really know if I like it. And I was scared. I was really scared. I sat down with my mom, my boyfriend, and we're like writing out the pros and cons of like, what do I do? Like, going to shape my whole life, changing this, right? And so, after a couple of hours of just talking it out and writing out the pros and cons, I was like, I really think I could be of value to his company. I really think that I would enjoy this person. Like, I would really enjoy this. And so, I decided to take the leap of faith and do it. And I love this job so much. It's so much fun. I get to meet cool people. I get cool opportunities like this. Like, it's wonderful. I love it. So I'm really glad.
So you had no experience in branding and marketing prior to joining VIP Media?
No, I honestly didn't really know much. I feel like naturally I had like that creativeness and like coming up with cool ideas to help people, but I never worked at a digital marketing place or any PR space at all. It was all very new to me, but I learned really fast, and I've always looked up to Jose for years now. And so when he talks, I write it down. Like, I want to make sure that like he's an expert. Like, Jose is an expert, and being able to sit with him every single day and get advice from him, and how to become a better salesperson, or how to talk to people better, or how to do all of this better. It's really valuable. And I've really like taken hold of the knowledge that he's given me, and using that to help better the company.
Yeah, I definitely think that your decision of going to VIP Media and not taking the law school route was the correct one, because say you didn't like branding and marketing for whatever reason, you can always go back to school, right? Whereas if you commit to law school, you're going to commit with like tuition and time, and that opportunity that he gave you could have been lost, right?
Yeah. And I'm very thankful for it. And, I think about that because I get asked that a lot. People are like, "Sarah, like, weren't you going to go to law school? Like, weren't you going to do this and do this?" And it's almost like, yes, I was going to do this, but it's like, sometimes I feel like I personally believe everything happens for a reason, 100%. That's something that's very like rooted in me. And I really think that this happened for a reason. And I'm just very thankful for it. And I know that I'm just genuinely happier being able to do what I'm doing and work with the people that I work with. And so I know that I made the right decision. I mean, law is great. I just felt like, deep down, it just wasn't for me,
Yeah, I feel you. Sometimes you got to learn that. And, you can really fool yourself. Like, for example, in my instance, I'm like an electrical engineer, and I thought that I loved it, but there's a big difference between liking something and loving it. And if you work on something that you love, like there's a cool quote that I read the other day. It's like, if you work on something that you love, or if you find something that you love, you don't have to work a day in your life again, because I'm pretty sure what you do doesn't feel like work because you love what you're doing at the end of the day.
100%. Could not agree more. No, like, I love it. Like, my job is fun. Like, I love being able to talk to people. I love being able to see what people's goals are with their company, and being able to help go alongside with them to help them reach those goals. And it's just so like beautiful being able to do that.
So how does it look like? So say you talk to an entrepreneur and they're like, "Hey, I want to put my name out there," but there's so many different platforms, so many opportunities. Like you said, Forbes. Like, you can go to like Forbes, or you can be big on social media. Like, what's kind of the route that you guys take to help these entrepreneurs or anyone build their businesses or personal brands?
So, I mean, it really just depends on someone's like goals, I guess. So some people just want a little bit of PR. So we'll help them get out. Some people want a little bit more. So we actually have like PR packages. That's typically kind of how we sell our stuff, and like different bulk options, I guess. So those like with the amount of PR you'd get, but we also have people that are in contracts with us. So they'll have like 6-month retainers with us. Well, they'll have like a certain amount of articles published each month. And then, they'll have podcast opportunities, TV opportunities. So it really just depends. So we'll just, talk with our clients, see what it is they're looking for. And we're going to help them try to, achieve that.
And, I think the return on investment for the entrepreneur or business is that they get a lot more attention in hopes of, selling more products or services. All right.
Of course. Oh, definitely. And again, like I was saying earlier, when someone how to explain it? Okay. So like with COVID, right. And all these like, starting entrepreneurship or starting coaching and all this stuff, now that the industry, there's more people, which is great, but now you really have to, define your brand, make sure you stand out, and press is a good way to make yourself stand out. And, a big thing, what we do at our company is branding and credibility, being able to say, I was in Fox, or I was in CBS or NBC or Yahoo Finance, and these publications that people know and love, having that in your Instagram bio or the logo on your website can really take your brand to the next level. People all know those publications. And so when they see that, they're like, wow, like this person must really know what they're doing, because to give them, that's awesome. Like, good for them. Like, this is someone I want to work with,
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of, there's a lot of people on social media killing it, and they don't have that blue check mark. And that's really big, because that kind of signifies that they're like an authority figure, right? And if you have a feature on Forbes or something alike, it kind of gives you that authoritative sort of stamp that people will take you a lot more seriously,
100%.
And that's what you guys provide. You're kind of like the middleman between these publications and the entrepreneur, right?
Exactly. And also kind of like what we do is, so there's two types of media. There's paid PR and there's earned media. So we do paid PR. Earned media would be, me calling a journalist saying, hey, I have this guy, he's great, he has this wonderful podcast, you guys should write an article about him and publish him. And, after my conversation with the journalist, it's really up to them if they're going to, publish this person. What we're doing with the partnerships that we have, we're able to go in and publish these articles for people. So, it really helps just like let everyone be able to get their story out there and help anybody grow their brand, which is really cool and unique.
So how many entrepreneurs and businesses have you worked with directly?
Ooh. Well, I know monthly we have about like 200 people. I think me personally, I've probably worked with maybe almost 50 people, I would say, and helping them get their brand and name out there. About 50.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so what year did you start exactly?
So I actually started, kind of recently, like during Corona time is when I decided to, take a leap of faith and, just do something different. And I was thankful, to have a job during Corona and all this stuff. I know it's been crazy for everyone, but yeah, it's relatively new for me. I'd say probably the last maybe like 5-6 months I've been doing this, but I really, like I said earlier, like when I started working with Jose, I wanted to learn anything that I can learn. Like he's honestly, and getting all those tools from him has really helped me elevate what I do. And it's incredible.
Yeah. So are you kind of like facilitating all these connections with these publications, or is there more layers in terms of branding, marketing, and public relations?
I would say there's more layers. To it all.
Okay. Because from what I hear, I don't know too much or anything about PR in that respect, but I hear that PR could be, I'm not going to say a dying art, but social media is becoming very, very, very hot, right? And I guess the best example is like influencer marketing or shout outs, or being featured on a page on Instagram. I guess it is kind of PR in a way, but traditional media is not as strong as like digital media on social platforms, right? But do you still think that PR is still a really, really big player in getting your name out there? Like social media?
Yeah, I 100% think so. And also like one of the things that we offer is TV. And, even though I feel like TV maybe is not as popular as it used to be, still being say that you were on TV, I think is a really huge accomplishment, no matter what like generation you are. I mean, personally, I don't really watch that much TV, but if I heard one of my friends was on TV, I'm like, wow, like that's insane. Like, how did that happen? So I think the same goes like with TV and digital articles, being published in, like a CBS or an NBC or any publication really. I still think it's huge, because it's like someone took the time to, want to talk about what you're doing and want to talk about your brand. To me, that speaks a lot.
Yeah. So you can get someone an interview on like CNBC or one of those platforms, for example?
Yeah, we do. We have, I believe, CBS, Fox, NBC, and ABC. We work with the local news stations all across the country. We don't get to pick the markets that our clients, use to get like their story out there, but we do have where we can get our clients on local CBS, all those places.
So how does an entrepreneur or anyone kind of, get your services? Like, what do they have to do? Is there an application they have to fill out to get your services?
Yeah. So on our website, we have like a contact us form. You put your name, your handles, email, what you do, what do you want to accomplish. So we have that available on our website.
All right. But do you have to be like, can you be anyone, or do you have to have some credibility to some degree at least?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't say just anybody, but someone that has like a story and someone that wants to has something that they want to like share with the
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
that's my answer.
Because I mean, I don't know what your package looks like or how much it costs, but I do feel that if you're kind of an established entrepreneur and to get to that next level of really putting yourself out there, like I
Mhm.
said, that metaphor of like having that blue check or having
Yeah.
Forbes kind of feature you can really make
Hmm.
a big difference. And I mean, depending if you can get someone that service, I can only imagine that it's only for like big players who can afford that budget because it's a huge like sort of way of advertising themselves, you know?
No, of course. And I mean, that's what I mean. Like, we have these PR packages that are all at all different levels. So really, if
Yeah.
you really want to get your name and brand out there, like our 6-month contract is honestly like the best way to do it. We get insane amount of press. It's crazy. The TV, the podcast. So it really just depends on the person. So yeah, you can have your everyday, maybe like smaller entrepreneur that maybe just got started and once they get their name out there,
Mm-hmm.
pay a couple $100 to get some articles out, or you have, your multi-million-dollar entrepreneur that has the Lamborghini that wants to get all the press in the world. And we have that too. So we work with people all different types of I guess like time in the industry, in the entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
space.
What do you think is the most sort of like the best investment in PR or social media? Is it you think like having someone on a podcast or writing an article about them? Like what gives that person the most attention? Like what platform?
Let me try to think. I kind of want to just say a combination though, to be
That's all
honest.
right. Yeah.
I think a little bit of everything. I think, digital articles,
Okay.
having that podcast, having that like face-to-face interaction and having that, a video clip of that on your page is huge. Having TV, the same thing, have a video clip of it on your page is huge. So I think a combination of everything. I think, overall digital articles are more common. So I think that's great too.
Yeah.
I think that's a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So to help the little guys out, maybe they don't have that budget. What are some strategies that they can implement to help their personal brand? Like what can they do besides just posting on Instagram?
I would say being consistent, defining your brand, knowing. I think a big thing is when you have a product or service, you need to believe what you're telling people and what you're
Mm-hmm.
selling. Because there's a million other people out there that can do exactly what you're doing, but they have to believe your story to get that product from you or to buy that service from you. And so I think for anybody, an entrepreneur or anyone, that needs to be like your goal. Just making sure you have the definition of your brand at the back of your hand, so how to sell your product, how to sell your service, and being
Mm-hmm.
able to have that emotion behind it. I think emotion and people need to believe what you're selling and you need to believe in yourself, and that all
Yeah.
goes together.
So say you have that definition, you have all that down, and one can be extremely overwhelmed to using which platform. They can use TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. They can write an article, and it's really difficult just for one person to do all that stuff at once, right? And they may want to focus on just two platforms, right? How
Mhm.
do you kind of delegate, or how do you choose which social media platform or any platform in that respect to really choose and help grow your personal brand?
So that's a really good question. I mean, I would personally say like Instagram. I think
Okay.
Instagram is like the way to do it personally. I mean, everyone has their own opinion and answer to it, but I would personally say Instagram. I think Instagram is huge. It kind of, checks off everything on the list.
Yeah, I still think, even though people say TikTok is a lot stronger than Instagram right now, I do believe that Instagram is the number one platform. But in terms of organic reach, it's declining. But I would say this: Instagram Reels is really popping off, and a lot of people
Yeah.
are utilizing that.
No, definitely. I think
Hmm.
that's huge. Overall, I really think Instagram. I think that's the platform. TikTok is great as well. We started seeing TikTok more the last few months, especially during quarantine, with people being at home more and making videos, being creative. It's huge. I think overall, though, I feel like Instagram is a little stronger, but TikTok is right there behind it. And just my
Yeah.
personal. But I mean, I know TikTok is huge, and it's going to continue to be huge alongside
Hmm.
Instagram.
So I don't know if you really dove in or went deep in your personal brand prior to VIP Media, but if you didn't really go ham on it, and the things that you've learned in VIP Media with your coworkers and your boss, what are things that you took away and applied to your personal brand?
Um, Again, I think just being consistent and believing in what you're doing, and
Hmm.
that deep down that what you're doing is helping people and being a service to others. I mean, that's what I do working at my job, is that I get to help people and I get to provide an incredible service to help others get their services out there. And so I would say just, the biggest thing they've taught me is just to really believe in what you do and believe in yourself. And, I came into PR not knowing anything about PR. And then I really had to believe in myself. I really had to listen to what, my team was teaching me and telling me, so I could, go out there and help make a difference for other people and to get their name and brand out there. So just being authentic and just being confident in yourself and what you're doing, I would guess is my biggest takeaway.
I definitely believe that a personal brand, like, yes, there's 7 billion people on this, like, on earth right now. And you can have a lot of different, like, similar interests and passions of, your next door neighbor, for example, but there's only one you, and no one can really, there's no such thing as a carbon copy of, like, Sarah Ashley. Right. And that's why people may love you, may love someone else, because the way they say something, even though they have that same knowledge to some degree. And that's why I think you shouldn't shy away from building a personal brand. And, like we said, there's so many platforms, podcasting, writing articles, social media, and not everyone's comfortable in front of the camera. So what you could do, instead of being on a podcast or being at least in a video call, you can just do audio only and just have your voice out there instead. So I think there's a lot of alternatives that you can take.
Definitely.
And so you can kind of be more comfortable, because to be honest, I'm not going to lie, my very big social media platform was TikTok, and you're forced to use have your face there. Right. And after a while, I just felt very numb to it, very comfortable. And including this podcast, I used to have only audio, and now I have video, and I'm just really, really used to it. So I think anyone who's listening, who is camera shy, I think after a while you get really used to it.
No, definitely. I couldn't agree more. And that's also another thing, when I started this whole PR journey, I was someone that my Instagram was on private. I was very low key. People didn't know a lot about me. I was trying to keep my life very private, but joining this space, I kind of had to learn how to get over my fear of people knowing who I am. Not that people know me or anything, but having my Instagram public and talking to people all the time that are strangers that I don't know through Instagram stuff. So getting over that fear. So also becoming an entrepreneur, we all have fears in life. And I think when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have to face those fears in some way or another, whether it's talking to people, whether it's, just not being nervous, not being scared, and just believing in yourself. Right. And so I think that's a good way to get over your fears, is to just try it, just to go out there and try it. It's not every day that I speak on a camera with someone for almost an hour telling them about my life. You know what I mean? And that's something I'm a little nervous, but I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. And so you just have to face these fears and just do it. And even if you are camera shy, then that's perfect. Do the audio, do what you're comfortable with, but also try to find ways to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, to help you grow.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge, even for me, trying something new. But once you try it, it's not as scary as it was if you try it again. So just getting numb to it, kind of getting used to it. And if it's not you, like you said, if you don't feel comfortable, then try a different approach, like you mentioned before.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, I was watching some videos of VIP Media, and you guys have a really, really young team. Right?
Yeah.
So how's the vibe? Because I can only imagine being a law student. It's very suit and tie, but you're kind of different dynamic, a polar opposite of a really youthful company. With a lot of people in their mid-20s, right?
For sure. No, it definitely is a little different. My job prior to this one, people there were a lot younger as well. So the vibes are always great. But with VIP Media, it's just we're just crazy, but in the best way possible. We're fun. We have a basketball hoop in our office and stuff. And my boss is oh, you guys want to order pizza and have White Claws or whatever. He's just so fun. And so, it is a little different, but I love it. I love going to work, and there's some days I have to stay at work because I have a lot to do, but I don't mind staying at work late because we're playing fun music all day long. We're all talking, but we're all getting work done, and we're being, we have those moments where we're all really quiet and just focused in the zone with everything we're doing. But we have those moments where we're just dancing and ringing a bell because you made a sale or something crazy. You know what I mean? So it is a little different, but it's super fun. I really wouldn't want it any other way. And, I honestly wake up every single day just very thankful and blessed for the opportunity that I have working at VIP Media. And that's something that I honestly tell my boss all the time, this is awesome. I love being able to do this, So it is just super fun being with people that are all around the same age and just equally I guess fun. We all just want to be just fun all day long,
Yeah. I remember I had one internship, and everyone there was in their 50s, and I was the only young guy there. And it was kind of sad, but I mean, it was really chill. All those guys were great, but
Yeah.
it's just a different dynamic being with people your age. And, you know, it makes the job a lot more fun, I think, you know?
No, definitely. And my boss, he's just like cool. He always wants to, so like we do this thing, maybe like 1 or 2 Fridays a week called VIP Fridays. So like, so yesterday was National Boss Day. And so me and my coworker, I don't know if you saw it on my story or not, but I took my boss's like a picture of him and I wrote in red like ink like Boss Day. We made 50 copies of it. We put it all in the hallways of the office and in the space, and like we just decked out the place to be all like crazy and obnoxious for him. And then at the end of the day, we took him to Boomers, or Boomers, to do like laser tag and like basketball hoops and skee ball and all this stuff. So, you know, every month we try to like do something fun. Like also my boss has like a boat membership. We'll like do that sometimes, like just to change it up and change this. We can all work from our phones, which is another cool thing about the job that we do, which is really fun. So yeah, you have to have fun. You have to love what you're doing and have fun.
Yeah. You know, I always believe that if you have a really good team chemistry or a good atmosphere within your group, overall your productivity is going to increase. You know,
Yeah.
of course you can have the same tool sets you have right now, and say like your boss is very, very strict, or the environment is somewhat toxic. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like overall the productivity of the team is not going to be as great as it is
Yeah.
compared to you guys having fun and, you know, being relaxed and whatnot. So I think having that dynamic is very, very important for any team. Like, say if you're an entrepreneur right now and you have a team of like VAs, for example, or a team within your office, it's really important to have that cool vibe, you know?
Yeah. No, it makes the difference. It really does, you know, and I mean, like, you know, Jose's my boss, but he's my friend too. You know, I have that
Mm-hmm.
respect. But at the end of the day, like he's someone that I could go to if I'm having an issue with someone and like tell him, and, you know, he cares, you know, he wants to listen, because we all have such good chemistry in the office. There's 3 of us in the office, and yeah, we all have such good chemistry. It's
Mm-hmm.
great.
Now,
It's
do you guys have to look for clients as well? So by that, do you have to run ads to, say, entrepreneurs or businesses and brands to kind of attract them to your services, or do they kind of look for you now?
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, we run Facebook ads.
Okay.
I believe all day. And then, you know, we have a sales team of about a little over 25 people that work for us all over the world that do
Mm-hmm.
sales. And so it's a combination of everything, but we definitely do have, you know, Facebook ads that are running to get our name and
Okay.
brand.
Yeah. So what does your typical workday look like?
So, you know, I go to the office, say hi to everyone. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I go through my emails first. So a lot of what I do is I want to make sure that our clients are happy. You know, if they have a problem with
Mm-hmm.
something, talk to them, say, hey, like, you know, what happened? Like, let me try to fix this for you, right? Let me get
Yeah.
to the bottom of it. Or I'll take phone calls and hop on calls with clients to see, you know, if they're happy and like what they want to do, and like help make changes if needed in their articles and stuff. So then that's part of my day. Another part of my day is, you know, using my Instagram account, reaching out to, you know, coaches and entrepreneurs and, you know, real estate agents, real estate investors, and seeing if they're interested in PR. And so that's part of my job as well. So I would say, you know, emails and phone calls, like client relations, and then also reaching out to people, the sales side of things as well. And, you know, if we have new people on our sales team, I'm the one that trains them. So, you know, help, you know, teach them about VIP media and what we do, what are our values, and how to, you know, how to sell our PR packages, how to believe in the products that you're selling. You know, our salespeople have to believe what they're selling, because if they don't believe
Mm-hmm.
it, then you're not going to make a sale. And, you know, at the end of the day is to make a sale, you know?
Yeah.
So that's every day would look like.
Okay. And when you put them in a podcast or an interview, do you kind of prepare them? Because I feel like if you have an interview with a really big entity, it can be very nerve-wracking. And a lot of these entrepreneurs, maybe they don't have that experience before. So do you kind of give them a way to prepare for that scenario?
Definitely. So people, so like I said, we have about 200 clients monthly, and about
Okay.
10% are on our 6-month contract with us. When you're in the 6-month contract with us, that's when we talk more about the podcast and the TV opportunities.
Okay.
And a contracts, my boss typically has it to where you'll have like a monthly meeting with him, like a Zoom call, and we'll go over the progress of how the articles are going, or your upcoming opportunities for the month, right? And so if your upcoming opportunity is a podcast or TV, my boss, you know, he'll kind of go through with our client, like, hey, like, you know, how to have that presence on camera.
Yeah.
He does it all the time. He speaks on Fox regularly, especially with the election coming up. He's on the news, you know, very often speaking. So he has a lot of experience with that. So he's, you know, a good value to our clients to help, you know, give them the knowledge and tools to try to, you know, use that when they're on the camera.
I feel that if you have all this press and all this help to build your personal brand, you also need to go or put in as much work, because if you just let these these publications do the posting for you, you need to make sure you reciprocate that within your personal brand, maybe repost it. Is that something that you also really try to do? So if, say for example, an entrepreneur is not doing well in their personal brand, like on their social media, do you kind of manage that for them as well? Or do you tell them at least like, hey, if you got this interview from CNBC, for example, like make sure you repost that on your social media to get more exposure?
So, I mean, it's not that we don't stress it. I think a lot of the time, surprisingly though, like our clients, they're like eager to post it. They want people to see it. I feel like we don't really have to tell people to, they kind of already do it.
Yeah.
With our company, we have a team of in-house graphic designers. And so what we do is, so let's say, you got into 5 different publications. So what we'll do is we'll take our client's photo, we'll send it to the graphic designer, along with the publications they're in. Our graphic designer will, make a graphic for them to promote their feature. And so that's another way. So after we give the links to their articles, we also give them this graphic. And I mean, most of the time people will post it on their story, or on Instagram, like page. So people kind of feel like they do it.
So you have an in-house team that repurposes that content to kind of amplify it?
Yeah, so I guess repurpose it. Yeah, like they'll take like the logos of like a Fox or a CBS or Disrupt Magazine, Vents Magazine in the client's photo, and they'll kind of like put it all together, like the client's photo and like maybe like a color behind it, and then all like the logos of those different publications, and then they'll use that to post. Sure.
What were the biggest influencers / entrepreneurs that you and your team have worked with?
Ooh, I'll be honest, due to client confidentiality, I'm not really.
Oh, you can't say. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
But across, like, is it only, what type of people do you work with? Is it only entrepreneurs or like people in the music space, actors? Is it literally anyone who wants PR, or is there a specific sort of niche that you guys work on?
So honestly, anybody that wants to get their name and brand out there. We have people that are like chefs or people that sell or that rent out exotic cars, or former NBA players, like people that just want their name and brand out there. Like we'll reach out to them, they reach out to us, and we help them. Entrepreneurs, I feel like, are probably the biggest ones that we work with, along with coaches and I would say real estate investors and real estate agents. I feel like those are most of the people that we work with. I would say also credit repair too. So pretty much anybody that really wants to get their name and brand out there. But I'd say mostly entrepreneurs is kind of what we do, but we work with everybody.
Okay. I was going to say, there's a huge debate between, if you have a service company, it's always better to niche down to one specific sector, because if you do everything, you're not going to be known for everything. But that's a huge debate that people have, at least more specifically in like a digital marketing agency, right? So that's a huge debate that people have. I mean, in my opinion, it does make sense to some degree, but what you guys are doing it's completely different. It's a different revenue model. But in terms of like new social media platforms that come out, of course, you're established in a traditional media. When the new platform comes out, say for example, like TikTok, do you guys have a team or a strategy to build on that? So say for example, you have 100,000 followers on TikTok, you can utilize that to still help the influencers and entrepreneurs put their name out there as well. So my question is, do you kind of look out for other social media platforms and other tools that you can really put an emphasis on entrepreneurs to use and put their name out there?
So, I mean, TikTok, for example, we haven't really gone much to in with TikTok. Again, I would focus has been Instagram. I know TikTok is like kind of on our radar, like how we should approach it next and how to kind of get in space. So right now we haven't really focused on it, but in the future, I would say that's something that we're definitely going to get more into is TikTok.
Okay. And I have to ask you, wait, so you work with personal brands, but is it also just pure businesses as well?
Yep.
It doesn't have to be individuals? Okay.
Yep. Businesses, personal brands, you name it.
Okay. But a lot of people think like a way to have a brand is to slap a logo on something, but there's obviously like a lot more work, especially for like having a service or a product. What are some misconceptions of like branding? I feel there's so much competition nowadays in businesses that branding is extremely, extremely important. I guess the best example nowadays is Nike. They probably don't have to run as many ads as they want to because they get so many indirect sales, right? Because people wear them all the time.
Yeah.
So what do you think is a huge kind of play for businesses? Like, should they really focus on like branding rather than just sales? for long term at least?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, obviously you need to make the sales to be able to get the money to get into the branding.
Yeah.
They all work together. I would just say that it's really defining your brand and being authentic. I feel like that's, you know, a very big message when it comes to branding credibility is being authentic and knowing your brand and having that, you know, at the back of your hand. And also just, you know, just, how do I explain it? Like, just know your brand and be authentic. That's like the main
Yeah.
message. And also, sorry, I'm trying to think how I should say this.
Mhm.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry. Just want to make
No,
sure I got
I
it.
was gonna say like a lot of personal brands, like people just slap a logo on
Okay.
their brand. And it's not the important part. What do you think? It's like nuances or golden nuggets for any small business owner, entrepreneur that they should really know to build a personal brand in the long term, rather than just having paid ads.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, like the logo, that's important. That's great. And also, you know, again, I'll kind of use the example, you know, with COVID, a lot of people started joining this, like the entrepreneur space, whether it's e-commerce, you know, that one went huge when COVID
Mm,
hit. And so there's a lot of competition there. Also, competition's good. It's good to have people in the same space as you, right?
yeah.
So don't be scared like, oh my gosh, there's so many people in this space. Like I shouldn't join it because this guy is doing it. He's making millions off it. If he's doing it, all these other guys are doing it, then there's nothing left for me. That's not true at all. You just have to really push and you have to work hard and then you can do it. But you have to keep things organized. You have to have your focus aligned, right? You have to be consistent. I mean, owning a business, I mean, I've never owned a business, right? But what
Hmm.
I from the outside, you have to be consistent. You have to be authentic. You have to, you know, when money comes into your business, invest that money, invest it into PR or invest it, you know, to getting higher quality products or growing your team or getting someone else. Because, you know, when you own a business, and the business gets bigger and you're one person, you need to get help because you can't do everything by yourself. I think that's something entrepreneurs need to know is like, you can do a lot, but you can't do it on your own. You have to hire other people. You have to hire people to, you know, again, have to hire press, have to hire an assistant to keep things all organized. So I think, you know, just being consistent, you're reinvesting your money into your business wisely, and just being true to yourself, being true to your brand, and you know, just
Hmm.
making what you're doing is good and consistent.
Yeah. I feel more specifically for a personal brand, if you're not consistent or you're not true to yourself, eventually people are going to catch on to that, you know, because you can only act for such a long time, right? Before you get caught.
Hmm.
And, you know, especially if you use different social media platforms, because
Hmm.
everyone shows like their highlights. And I was watching this video on YouTube, and this guy was like talking about how social media, everyone shows their highlights, and
Hmm.
people who are really consuming social media get very sad, depressed because they compare themselves with others.
Yeah.
And instead of using that as fuel, because like you said, competition is very, very good for businesses because it makes them like work even harder to be number one, right? Um, it is a like a social dilemma of like, you know, social media and you comparing yourselves with others. Um, but of course, you're your personal brand. There's only one you.
Hmm.
And I think the most important thing is you got to find your passions and interests and build on that. And really, like, you don't have to be an expert on it.
Yeah.
You just have to be passionate about it and just talk about it. And like that, you'll build your personal brand. And I think that's what people don't really understand, because they feel that they have to be an expert or very knowledgeable in that field, but instead they can be
Yeah.
very, very passionate, you
Of
know?
course. I think passion is actually one of like the strongest points. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not born an expert. It takes time to get there. You have a lot to learn. And just because you want to start a business and offer the service and maybe you're not an expert, don't let that stop you. You can become an expert, but you need that time and you need that experience to help you get to that level of the expertise level. So I wouldn't, you know, don't let the people that are, you know, where you want to be scare you from not doing it. Use that as motivation. Use that as like, wow, this guy can do it. I can do it. I want to, you know, not see how he does, but you know, I want to use him as motivation so I can get to that level too and not get discouraged that you're going to stay where you are. Like, as long as you are continuing to change your business and like, you know, help like stay consistent and keep growing, then you can get there. You just have to be consistent and, you know, use that as motivation, not as fear.
Hmm. I think to add on to that, because you're working with so many like high level individuals, it's
Mm-hmm.
important for them. Like, yes, like, say if you draw a graph, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Say it's all right. Say you draw a graph, right? Of um, let's say attention over time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
an entrepreneur uses VIP media, right, to kind of promote themselves. And they'll have a huge blimp over the course of 6 months of their attention span, right?
Mhm.
But if they don't continue kind of working the machine of providing content, value, and putting their name out there, over time, it's going to flat out or plateau again. So I think it's important, maybe for you and your team, to put an emphasis on them to get the ball rolling. Because if you kind of just stop promoting yourself after 6 months and getting all this PR, then of course you can get a good return on investment. But it'll be good to really continue that process of promoting yourself and taking initiative on your personal brand or business. Is that
Definitely.
something that you guys kind of like try to push as well? Because of course this service can be a massive boost for anyone's personal brand or business. But like I said, if you don't continue that, then it's only going to hurt.
No, we always tell our clients, consistent press is the way to go. You want people, when people look up your name or your company's name, you want some articles to come up, we don't track or anything, but having some, press under your belt is big. When people look up your company name and they see your website, great, but let's see what else people are talking about with your, so I think it's our clients' consistent press is important.
Now, in terms of traditional media and articles, if you want an instant result, like say you're a tech startup and you go to a PR or a publication and they write an article on like the new tech that you're going to come out with, or for example, like Tesla, they have a lot of PR and like their new technology and what their new cars are going to be, right? People want to get results instantaneously. Is that like a huge factor that you guys have to communicate with your clients as well? It's like, hey, like we can't guarantee instant results in a matter of like 1, 2, 3 weeks. This may take a course of the 3, 4, 5 months. Is that something that you really, tell your clients?
Yeah, we 100%, probably every day tell clients that, I think, with how things are, we get everything instantly, right? Everything is instant. And so we're used to that. And, press, you can get a lot at once, but you also like, it's like you have to keep like pushing, I guess. You have to keep, like it's not an overnight thing, I guess. You can't get a TV opportunity tomorrow. Like, let's get you some articles out first. Let's work our way to get to the TV or to the podcast. Let's not just jump on a podcast. Like, let's start somewhere and then work our way up. So that's something we tell our clients. Again, our focus isn't really, we're not like a lead generation company. So we're not going to say, hey, our press is going to get you 100 new clients or anything, but we're able to help people establish their credibility, getting them in big publications and stuff and well-known publications. So again, that's like more of our focus, but it is not an overnight thing. It's just, it takes time to have people, see your brand and gain that credibility.
Yeah. So you said in one of your packages, you have a 6-month contract. Do you have anything that's like shorter term?
So, we have 3 PR packages that are just, you pay them one time and you get those articles out. And there's 3 So one with like a lot of press, one with like a middle range press, and like a lower range of press. And then so our clients, usually they'll do that first, and they're like, you know what, Sarah, I want some more press. And so typically, we have those 6-month retainers. I think they can be a little flexible, maybe like a 3-month, a 6-month, and maybe like a year. So what our clients do is they'll have a Zoom call with my boss, and then they'll kind of go over, what the next steps are, what goals do they have for their company. And my boss will kind of like take that information, like assess, like, well, what does this person need? Do they need more TV? Do they need more digital articles? Like how do we go about this? And so he'll come up with a personalized plan for the client.
Okay. So each client, you kind of have a tailor made plan for him or her, right?
Correct. Yep.
You can't have like the same plan. Everyone has different businesses, different personal brands, and I guess different way of kind of emphasizing themselves. I guess that does make sense. I still kind of, I find it cool that your boss, he said he was in the, like in politics, and then he was really into media within the political realm or domain, and now he created something entirely on his own, right?
Yeah. So he was one of the former press secretaries for the White House, and then he left. Sorry, notification. He after Hillary Clinton lost the election, he wasn't working in the White House anymore. So, he'd worked with politicians for years. And so he was like, I kind of want to work for like the everyday person, the everyday entrepreneur, the everyday coach, the everyday real estate agent, right? And so that's, what VIP Media is. We're able to help people of all levels of entrepreneurship or anywhere in their space of business, right? And so it is a little different from politics, I could imagine. But, I know he loves it, and he loves everything that we do at VIP Media. And yeah, it's a really great company.
Mm-hmm. And where do you kind of see, like, are there any new trends of marketing and branding that you see that maybe small business owners don't have an eye on yet, and then you guys kind of have that upper edge of knowing what to do next? For example, like, okay, not many people think that Instagram Reels is hot, but in reality, if you hop on it now, you can really grow your Instagram. That's kind of one little hint for anyone who wants to grow their personal brand. But are there things that you kind of know that people should know right now to really jump on and get a head start?
I mean, I was going to say Reels. I think that one's going to be huge. I also think podcasts too. I think podcasts are like the next big thing. I mean, podcasts have been around for a while and they're huge, right? Podcasts are like the next level type thing to do. I have a lot of respect for podcasts. So I would say podcasts and Reels. I think the two of them, I think that's like, those are really good.
Yeah. With Reels, it's more of an instantaneous play because you can get, a lot of views almost right away, especially on TikTok as well. Whereas I believe on podcast, if you're a small business owner, it is going to take time to grow it. Mm-hmm. But then again, like there's different strategies. Podcasting is a long-term game. Reels, TikTok could be a long-term game too, but you can get a lot of organic reach almost immediately,
Of course. And I feel like collaborating is very important as well, like being able with like people that are like-minded or people to get their perspective on things. I mean, just like this conversation, the same kind of, that's good. That's good for podcasts, great for social media in general. Like doing collaborations with people is also really important.
Yeah, I definitely seen that on TikTok where the people that I follow, I mean, they don't necessarily know each other, but they kind of combine forces. I guess like what I love about branding, like I really do love branding. And one of the plays that really like intrigued me was like literally Oreo. I don't know if you remember this, but Oreo and Supreme, they made a cookie.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, that's like literally the most randomest thing ever, but it's just so cool. And I think it really worked out. And I always like imagine like what other plays can there be? Like I love soccer, and I think there's a concept. It didn't follow through, but I think it was are you familiar with soccer a little bit? Basically, there's an Italian soccer team called AC Milan, and then there's a lot of fashion like designers in Italy. So I think Gucci is going to make they're going to be a sponsor of AC Milan, and they're going to have Gucci shirts of like a sports team. Just imagine like the Patriots wearing like a really like cool Gucci jersey, right? And like they're different ball games, they're different, I guess, brands, but they're collaborating in such a way that's really cool. Another good example is Air Jordan. That's a basketball brand. And then another soccer team in France called PSG. And you wouldn't think like, how is a basketball brand going to combine with the soccer brand? But the thing is that Air Jordan is really a fashion clothing line that's very, very well known, right? And PSG is like, you have all these soccer players who have tons of social media, tons of press, and they kind of combine forces. So point is, like, it's really important to collaborate, even if you kind of have another brand that's the polar opposite of you. So for example, Oreos and Supreme, like what the heck,
No,
I think you're really seeing that a lot nowadays. And that's why I think like branding, you kind of have to look at unique ways, even like guerrilla marketing, there's definitely plays out there that you can do that can change your business almost instantaneoceanly. Have you heard like on TikTok, this is really popular guy, I think his name's like Dogface420, the guy who's like bald and he was drinking like this juice, Ocean Spray. Have you heard about that lately?
I don't think okay, I'll be honest. So I really used TikTok for a while. Okay. And past like month, I've just been slipping. I just haven't been using it as.
Let's just put it this way. This guy went very, very viral for singing and drinking juice. Like I think it was cranberry juice from this brand called Ocean Spray.
Yeah.
And I think Ocean Spray kind of created a commercial around that. And he's a huge influencer now. And a lot of brands won't really do that. It's kind of like Coca-Cola making the brand deal with like Charlie D'Amelio or a huge influencer on Instagram or TikTok. You're seeing like you see in these big plays so that these companies can get a massive attention grabbing
Or
sort of event, you know, and I think
Travis
that's
Scott.
oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Travis Scott and McDonald's, like that's something that I've never imagined, like someone
Right?
kind of, yeah. So
But
I
it's dope.
do, yeah. And I do feel like if you're a small brand or an entrepreneur, you can make those sort of plays. You just have to be creative, you know, with
Yeah,
it.
definitely. I
That's
like that.
crazy. Yeah. Like Travis Scott and McDonald's.
Right?
People, you know, people literally stole like the signs.
I know.
And then,
Telling
yeah, they can like, I think they can make some serious money off that because who knows when that's going to happen again, you know?
right. No,
Yeah.
that was great. When that collab happened, I was like, wow, like we did it, but we needed it. You know, that's what
Yeah.
2020. Great.
Hmm.
I love.
So Sarah, I don't want to take too much of your time here, but is there anything else that you kind of wanted to mention or add on before we wrap up here?
So I think, just my key points would be, really take a second and try to figure out what it is that you want to do. Write down what you're good at, and try to think of the career path that aligns with that, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's being a coach or working in PR or being a doctor or a lawyer. Make sure you take the time to figure that out, and don't let people around you influence you. Like, just try to really dig deep in yourself to figure out what it is you're supposed to do, and it's going to take trial and error, but don't be discouraged. And if you want to start a business, don't be discouraged because the people around you are, driving Lamborghinis and doing all this crazy stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get there? Don't let that stop you. Be consistent. Be true to yourself. Be true to your brand. Make sure you define your brand, and just be authentic in everything that you do. And I think as long as you're authentic and what you're doing is doing good, I think that good will come back to you.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, a lot of people, they go to school to be doctors to make money, and just for that. But we have to keep in mind that's a huge commitment, not only in time, but in money.
Yeah.
And, they may not necessarily like the work. They're just doing it for the money. And it's cool that you kind of, before going into law school, which is like, another 4-6 years, right? It's a lot. Yeah. So that's a huge commitment. And just imagine like you doing that and then, not taking the opportunity that you took. So for anyone who's in school, who's going to be a doctor or whatever, really know what you want and like try different things out, find your passion, and try to like work on something that's around your passion or create a business around it. I think that's really important to do something that you love at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Do what you love. Found a message.
Yeah. So yeah, Sarah. So if anyone wants to hit you up, know more about you, know more about VIP Media, maybe where can they hit you up?
So my Instagram is Sarah Ashley, ASHLEY, __ on Instagram. You can find me there. Find VIP Media Solutions on Instagram. My boss, Jose Aristimuno, on Instagram as well. So.
All right, cool. So I'll put that on the show notes. So if anyone's interested, they can go in the description and look you up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It was so nice talking with you.
For sure, Sarah. Thank you. Have a good one.